Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of the Extreme Makeover Scrapbook Layout Edition, and this week I am going to be giving this layout, the one you see there on the left hand side, a complete makeover. So this was a Halloween layout that I did with my daughter, and this was probably, I would say, a good 2 or 3 years ago. And I love the picture, but I hate the background. There's so much going on, and this was my attempt to do a Halloween layout without it actually being Halloween themed, and I think I succeeded at that. But now that I look back on it, I don't really like it, and specifically I don't like the yellow paper or the background. There was a time where I was really trying hard to work with yellow and orange and red, and it's just not my aesthetic, so I did not like the way that this turned out. However, unlike the first layout, I am going to keep probably a lot of the elements that you see here, but I am going to change the background, and I'm going to make it a little bit more Halloween themed. And of course, I'm going to keep the journaling as well. I'm just going to type up the journaling instead of handwrite the journaling. So what I want to do is I want to see, before I commit to taking this whole layered piece off, I'm going to see if I can try to take it off without damaging it. A good tip, if you want to reuse an element and it's really tacked down, then try cutting around it. Or there is some product on the market that you can use that will loosen up your adhesive. I think one is called like Undone or Undo or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. And I used to have some and I ran out. But in any event, you can certainly cut around your layered embellishments and then, of course, adhere it onto your new layout. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to preserve the sticker fonts. Maybe I will, but we'll see. But I have some other options that I can work with and sort of reimagining this layout. Now, initially, I had this layout in mind, but I couldn't remember what color the background paper was and what I did to the background, because I was just going to ultimately just update this or refresh this layout without having to pull too much up. But I decided I'm going to change the background. So what I'm going to do is I pulled some elements from my fall and Halloween kit that I make for myself, and this is not something that I add a lot to every year, but I have this really pretty background paper, and this one is from the Happy Go Lucky collection by Fancy Pants Designs, and I've had this for a very long time. This was made in 2013, and then I have this other half sheet of pattern paper from My Mind's Eye. This was from their Lost and Found 2 collection. This paper is called Blush Princess. And then I have these little die cuts that I found at Michael's, and I like them because they're glittery. This is like my second pack to have. So some are glittery and some are not, but really pretty leaf elements in here. I have some enamel dots left over from the Something's Wicked enamel shapes and dots, or what's it called? Enamel dots and shapes from My Mind's Eye that I've had for quite a while. I also have this Recollection sticker pack that I think I purchased this year. I can't remember. And I believe you get both a set of black and white stickers with that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything with that, but I pulled it anyway. I also have these thickers, shapes and little phrases. This is from, oh goodness, what is this called? This is called Spooky, and I've used quite a bit of it. This is my second package of this, so I might see if I can incorporate that. And then I'm thinking about replacing the regular matte colored font that I currently have on the existing layout and changing it with this glitter font from Thickers, and this is called Boo. I really like the way that this font looks, and it's a little bit skinnier than what's on the original layout. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and get working on this layout. I might pull in a few more elements as I'm kind of going along. And yeah, we're going to give this layout a makeover. All right, so the first thing I want to do is see if I can salvage anything from this older layout. So I'm kind of pulling some things up using my little spatula knife there. Whatever you call it. I'm trying to preserve the title, and I kind of ripped the E a little bit, but I'm still going to work with it later. And now I want to rip up the photo and the layers, and I'm going to repurpose the layers. I'm kind of trimming them up, and I'm going to repurpose those on the layout or reuse them on the layout in some way. So now what I'm doing is I'm trimming up the background papers that I want to use and trying to figure out how I want to position it. So I thought I would put a band of that sort of cream colored paper at the bottom and then place my photo there, and then I move my photo up just a little bit. I think I'm going to commit to that. I'm moving around some embellishments on the page, not quite sure at this point what I want to do. So I figured let me stop and work with the layers underneath the photo. So what I want to do is position the layers in such a way that I can't see the rips in the paper. And of course, those rips come from the adhesive that were behind the photo. So I'm going to trim up this little brown star paper just a little bit. There we go. And then I want to place that and kind of layer it behind the photo. And then of course I have that larger orange paper with the text print there. And instead of all of those layers going directly behind the photo, they're going to kind of go to the side of the photo. Now I pull out these leaves, and I think there's something that I want to do with the leaves to cover up that rip. But I tried several of the leaves, and it just wasn't looking all that great to me. So now I'm going to figure something else out. But first I want to go ahead and commit to having the papers glued down, or at least that one paper glued down on my background paper. So I'm good there. And now I want to go ahead and work on the title. So I'm going to spell, the title's actually going to read Halloween Tricks and Treats. I'm going to try something a little bit differently later on in the video, but ultimately it's going to read Halloween Tricks and Treats. So I'm spelling out Halloween. There's my little torn E. So I'm going to go ahead and use that because I don't have any more of these little stickers, and so I figured I needed to use it. And does it look a little weird on the page? Just a tiny bit. It's certainly noticeable, but it's not anything that I can't live with. Now, with the label on the photo, when I took it off, it did leave a little bit of the white paper stuck to the photo, and that's okay. What I wanted to do was remove that label so I could then add some white cardstock behind the photo to allow for a white border, and that will make sure that the photo sort of pops out on the layout. And then I just simply adhered the label back on the photo that says "Enjoy Now." Alright, so now I'm getting the paper layers back together, get everything all glued up, and I'm a big fan of concealing all the blemishes. So there you go. You see me put the photo right there over the spots on that orange paper that were kind of ripped up, and now I need to find a solution for that brown or that dark gray star paper here in just a second. So I've decided that I'm happy with this. I'm going to mount that on some foam strips. Good to go. That it's not very thick foam strips, but it gives it just a little bit of height. Then I bring in the stripe paper, which ultimately I'm not going to keep. But at the time when I put it down, I thought it looked really good. And that was going to be my solution for covering up that blemish on the little star paper. Now, in looking on my desk, I had some homemade embellishments that I made not too long ago, and I wanted to use this wood veneer piece, and it's backed with some pattern paper, which is sort of a cream background and black polka dots. I thought I was going to keep the lucky there with the green, but it's kind of like a neon green, so it didn't really go. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. But I soon discovered that it's going to cover up that brown and cream pattern paper. So eventually I'm going to end up moving that. So I'm figuring out where I want to position that piece. And I've had that piece in my stash for I don't know how long now. And I really want to use those little pumpkins that are gold glitter pumpkins, but it's just not going to work. So go ahead and commit at least to that wood piece being there. Now I grab some of these word phrases from the Recollections collection, and that little phrase down there says Tricks and Treats. And originally I was going to use a cork piece that says Memories, and that's at the right top hand part of my screen there. And you can see it's all ripped up because I tried to pull it off and reposition it and it tore. So I went into a different direction. Now it's just a matter of trying to figure out how I want to embellish this. And this is where I got a little lost. And I think with all the colors and the patterns, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go. And I wanted to be somewhat themey, but not so overly themey. I didn't really have a lot of the Halloween things left over. So in any event, I still wanted it to read as a Halloween layout. I decided to extend my story, and so I did a lot of journaling, typed it up, printed it on some vellum. At first I was going to print it on white cardstock, but that would have just been too much. And so I printed it on some vellum, added a little bit of adhesive behind the vellum, and adhered that to the page. Now I'm going back to the leaves, and so I picked out some that I thought went well with the color story of the layout. Not entirely sure of that top one that's a little bit more creamy. It kind of looks kind of pink, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it. I'm going to add some enamel dots behind some of these leaves so that they stand up and have a little bit of dimension on the page. I'm going to grab this little yellow one. I'm trying to figure out how I want to tuck and position these. I go through several of these leaves, and I'm leaving in a lot of this footage so that you can see that sometimes, even those of us who do this for a living, or just, just for fun here on YouTube, sometimes we do go through bits of indecisiveness as we're putting layouts together. And this layout took me a little bit to get together, so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I'm taking this label, and this is from a super old scrapbook circle kit. It was a cut apart. And I'm writing the date on that. So 10/31/2014 is when that picture was taken of my little one in her little mermaid costume. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want to add a tab there? Do I want to add another label? I kind of fool around with this. And eventually I add another one of those labels and it says trick or treat. So I kind of have trick or treat or tricks and treats kind of repeated on the page, but I don't notice that until after I get the layout done. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this one. It's a lot more cleaner. I like the addition of the leaves and the little pumpkin. It certainly reads Halloween and fall. Of course, the colors are beautiful. The story is extended, which I like because you all know I'm really big about the story. So yeah, I think I'm happy with this one. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button at the top. And don't forget to click the option to receive notifications so that way you'll be notified every time a new video is posted. All right, friends, I'll see you next time.